It was the worst of days, and it was the best of days. It began like many other days. Get up when the alarm goes off, take a mountain of pills, don't bother to shower as I'm off to the Y for Aquafit, and will shower before entering the pool. Make sure that I have breakfast at least 2 hours before Aquafit begins, or I'm regurgitating whatever I've eaten. It's a Saturday, and the class doesn't begin until 1:30. But I like to get there early, as only 20 swimmers are allowed in the pool for this particular class. Our instructor is unique. He doesn't just stand at the edge of the pool barking out instructions. He's like a little child jumping in and out of the pool to demonstrate what he wants us to do. He's like the Energizer Bunny, hop in, hop out, hop in, hop out, shouting at us above the sound of the music he's chosen to play for the duration of our session. It feels so good. We all wear flotation belts, which enables us to perform aquatic exercises that would be impossible to do on the ground. We contort our bodies, we balance on noodles, we stretch upwards, downwards and sideways. We stretch flat out, face up on the top of the water, draw our knees up to our chests, flip our bodies so we're stretched out, face down in the water. We butterfly kick with our legs, attempting to hold our arms straight up in the air, although most of us can only just get our hands out of the water without swallowing mouthfuls of chlorinated water. The class comes to an end, and the next 20 minutes or so are spent in a hot tub, with the jets pounding various parts of my anatomy, then a longish shower to attempt to remove the smell of the chlorine, and into the exercise room to strengthen my core muscles, my quads and my shoulders. Feeling very virtuous, I only having eaten fruit and nuts for lunch, I decided to take myself off to the Tiff Lighthouse, to the cinema there to see Beasts of the Southern Wild, a remarkable film such as I've never seen before. And the star who holds the whole film together is a remarkable child of 6 years old. The film is truly unique. A lot of it is shot with a handheld camera, which on occasion makes me feel queasy just for a few seconds. It is a must-see film, taking you into another, yet believable world. At times I felt that I shouldn't be observing what was taking place, and I was fearful for the child right the way through. But the cinematography, the characters, the thought that there was so much truth in what we saw just riveted me to my seat. The list of everyone and his uncle who'd been even remotely connected with the film rolled down the screen, and no one in the audience moved until it came to the very end of the list, and then the audience clapped, and it was a move. I left the cinema in a daze. I'd been completely transported to another world, and the noise of the streets and the crowds on the sidewalks seemed unreal after my senses had been bombarded by floods and hunger and deprivation and the human spirit rising above it all. I walked slowly back to my car, feeling myself being jostled by the crowds, but sensing it rather than feeling it. I've been carrying with me for a few days a blouse I'd purchased at Winners. I tried it on at home, but it turned out to be a mistake, so I wanted to return it. I found a parking spot close to the store and felt the sweat break out on my body as I exited my air-conditioned car into the heat of the day outside. It was a short walk to the store, and I lined up behind a couple of other customers, also waiting to return goods. With my package in one hand, I attempted to open the zipper of my carrying bag with the other hand and root it around with my wallet. I could feel the cardigan and scarf I brought with me to the cinema, as I'd had recent experiences of air conditioning blasting down on me and ruining 2 previous evenings. I felt my glasses case, my comb, my driving license, but no wallet. I broke out in a sweat. Think, I said to myself. When did I have it last? Oh dear God, please let it be in my car. Maybe I put it on the seat next to me. I rushed out of the store like a mad woman and ran back to the car, bumping into many people en route. A blast of hot air greeted me as I flung open the car doors, and I scrabbled around on the floor looking under the seats, but nowhere could I see my wallet. I prayed, please, please, dear God, whichever God happens to be listening to me. I'm Jewish, but I'll even go to church and say 3 Hail Marys if you'll help me find my wallet intact. I'd had my whole purse stolen from my car just a couple of years ago, and trying to replace all the cards and the driving license and spare keys to my car and my home was a nightmare, and something I never wish to happen to me again in my lifetime. That's a whole other story, but this was going through my mind as I tried to still my racing thoughts. Let me think. Oh, wait a minute, I know what could have happened. In the middle of the film, I felt really chilled, so I reached into my carrying bag and pulled out my scarf and put it around my shoulders. It was dark in the cinema, so maybe I could have pulled out the wallet at the same time, so it must be on the floor next to my seat. And then I realized that even if that was so, the next performance would have started, and there was no way that the ushers would be prepared to shine torches under the seats during the film. So even if there'd been honest people around during the performance that I'd been at, would I be as lucky with the second audience? I drove back to the cinema like a zombie, my hands gripping the wheel so tightly and cursing at every light and every idiotic driver on the road who came anywhere near me or even wanted to switch lanes. My stomach was in knots. Luckily, I found a parking close to the cinema and pushed my way through a throng of people just emerging from a matinee performance of Warhorse. I must have looked a little crazy. I had just one thought in my mind, and all these people are holding me back. As I approached the cinema, again I sent up some prayers and dashed to the ticket desk. Where would I go for lost and found? I almost shouted at the cashiers. What have you lost? They asked. I've lost my wallet. I know I had it when I arrived here a couple of hours ago as I paid with a credit card, but now I can't find it, and I'm hoping it may be under the seat where I sat. Please, please, could I go and look? My words were tumbling over one another. I felt really desperate. The 2 cashiers who had interacted in a friendly way, very calm when I originally purchased my ticket, looked at each other and then at this frantic woman beseeching them to help her. One of them reached behind him and said, "Would this be the wallet you're looking for?" The other cashier told me I'd left it on the counter while I was signing the receipt, and they thought I'd be back, so they kept it for me. I thanked them profusely. I could feel the tears coming as the relief set in. I got outside the cinema and began the walk back to my car. I remembered that I had a purse full of change, so I tipped it into my hand and put it in my pocket, and happily deposited it in the held-out paper cups of the homeless men sitting on the sidewalk outside the theatre. I made a silent promise to make a donation to a charity when I got home. All the way back to my car and all the way home, I was saying out loud, "Thank you, thank you, thank you." The relief was unimaginable. Thank you.